Are you keeping livestock in this house? This must be feed for livestock, right? You weren't seriously thinking of feeding this to Billy, were you? Unbelievable. Isla, my mother-in-law, said this as she threw my cooking, dish, and all into the trash can.
What? Your family can't possibly be my family. The only family I have is Mommy. How long are you going to keep saying such stupid things? While we're at it, let me say this. The value of my mommy in your family is completely different, isn't it? I think anyone can see that.
My head, which had been filled with anger until a moment ago, had now completely cooled down. I truly despised my husband, William, who insulted my family and laughed loudly.
Mommy is moving in next month. Clean out your room.
William pressed the point with a loud voice, seeing that I didn't reply.
Hey, are you listening? Mommy is moving in next month. I'll be away on a business trip until then. During that time, clean up all your stuff, completely. Got it?
As William glared at me with harsh words, I smiled and said, "Okay, I'll make it nice and clean." Then I went back to my bedroom. I once thought you, William, were a wonderful person who valued family. But, in reality, you're just a pitiable person who can't even have his own opinions, dominated by Mommy. To you, I was not family. I wouldn't mind whatever you said about me alone. But you used cruel words against my precious family, too. Unforgivable. As you wish, I'll clean everything out completely, so look forward to it. You should go to hell with your beloved Mommy. I'm Emily, a 35-year-old housewife. I married William last year, and it's been exactly 1 year. I met William at a drinking party hosted by my friend. It was a sort of party for men and women over 30. William was there, having been invited by an acquaintance. Among the men there, William, who is tall and slim, stood out. At the beginning of the drinking party, there was a slight buzz among the women. However, after hearing William speak in a quiet, hard-to-hear voice during his self-introduction, the women quickly backed off. Indeed, William seemed to give off a gloomy vibe when he spoke, which didn't appeal much to the women. But I, sitting nearby, didn't miss William's self-introduction.
The most important thing to me is family.
William indeed said that. My heart was moved by his words, and I found an opportunity to talk to him. I also believe family is the most important thing. We're the same in that regard. At that moment, I felt like William's eyes sparkled behind his glasses. After that drinking party, through the friend who had organized it, I surprisingly received a message from William. After several dates, and finding that we got along well, we started dating. William, who was quiet at the drinking party, usually turned out to be quite talkative. Most of what William talked about was his family, mainly his mother.
I really respect my mother. She gave birth to me and raised me. I'm just grateful. She's the most important person to me.
Saying this, I found William, who cherished his family, to be endearing. Just like William, my family is also the most important and irreplaceable thing to me. I have a father, a mother, and a much younger brother who was in college. There were times when my father's business didn't go well, and we fell into poverty. But no matter what, we always supported each other with smiles. Because of those experiences, I'm convinced that our family is bound by a strong bond. Currently, all my family members except me are overseas due to my father's work. I stayed in America because of my job. If I hadn't married, I might have moved overseas eventually. But then, I met William. Feeling that William, who also cherishes his family, could live together with me, I felt hopeful.
My mother said she thinks I could be happy living with you, Emily. So, let's get married.
And so, a year ago, William and I got married. After a year of marriage to William, there are several things I've come to realize that I didn't know before. The first thing is about William's personality.
Hey, Emily, my favorite shirt isn't in the closet. Make sure you take care of it.
William, who was thought to be quiet due to a soft voice when we first met, turned out to be quite self-centered. Moreover, the name he used to sweetly call me, Honey, changed to Emily the day after we got married. I was honestly surprised at first, but I didn't particularly mind, thinking it meant we had become closer. More than that, I wish he would spare me the irrational yelling. If you're looking for that shirt, you told me yesterday to take it to the cleaners, so I dropped it off today. It'll be ready tomorrow. To my words, William visibly became angry.
If I told you yesterday, you should have taken it out yesterday. Then I could have worn it today. Think before you act. My mommy would never make such a mistake.
Saying this, William left the house. A mistake? It was natural to take it to the cleaners today after being told last night. No matter how much I try to argue, my reasoning doesn't reach William. And in the end, Mommy always comes into the conversation. Another thing I've learned after getting married is William truly does place family first. Cherishing family is good, and I too hold my family dear. It's because of this shared belief that William and I got married. However, it seems William's vector on this is a little different. William's mother, Isla, dotes on William excessively. And in return, William does whatever Isla says. I've met her several times, such as during our marriage introduction, and remember being bombarded with questions about money, like, what's your annual income? What does your family do? Fortunately, I have been working at the same company for many years and have a decent amount of savings and salary. I somewhat understand that this was a point in favor of allowing the marriage. Even so, I thought it was natural for a parent to worry about their child, so I let it pass. When we decided to get married, since I had been living in a relatively large house with my family, William moved into my house, and that's how our new life started. While discussing how to arrange the rooms, William said with a laugh,
We're not planning on having kids, so let's have separate bedrooms. Mommy said kids are noisy and a lot of trouble. She doesn't want me to go through that hardship because she's kind. Plus, she said it would be hell if the kid ended up looking like you.
The thought of our decision about children being influenced by his mother-in-law's opinion made me dizzy. At that time, I thought that eventually William would want children, so I went along with it. However, an off-putting incident occurred later. One day, Isla announced she would be staying overnight at our place. She had visited our home many times before, but always returned to her own home at night. This was the first overnight stay. William was delighted to host Isla, and I hurriedly prepared the guest room. But William said,
"It's okay. Mommy will sleep in my room."
I didn't understand what he meant by "it's okay," and when I tried to prepare a guest bed in William's room, he refused. To my shock, when I went to wake them up in William's room the next day, they were sleeping together in the same bed. It's fine for a parent and child to be close, but sleeping in the same bed seemed a bit too much. I felt like I had seen something I shouldn't have and quietly left William's room. After that incident, I was completely turned off and realized I would no longer share a bedroom with William. Another thing I learned after getting married was William's view on money. Perhaps due to Isla's influence, William believes all the money he earns should be spent on himself. Therefore, he contributes no money to the household. I've asked William multiple times to contribute to living expenses, but he ended the conversation with, "Mommy said the money I earn is mine, right? By the way, the money you earn is also mine since you're my wife, so it's only natural. So shouldn't you be the one to cover living expenses?" So William never contributes financially to our household and keeps buying expensive bicycles, claiming them as his hobby. He even built a shed in the garden without consulting me to store these bicycles. Every day, when I see that shed in the garden, I'm filled with indescribable feelings. With Isla coming over so often, is your father-in-law okay with it? One day, I finally asked Isla, given how frequently she visited our home. That man is on a solo assignment in the countryside. As long as he sends money every month, there's no problem at all. I felt sorry for the father-in-law who was working away from home. William, for all his talk of valuing family, seemed to only truly care about his mother, Isla. Today, Isla is at our house again, enjoying the meal she prepared. Of course, I also prepared a meal. But Isla threw it all away. "Are you keeping livestock in this house? This must be feed for livestock, right? You weren't seriously thinking of feeding this to Billy, were you? Unbelievable." Saying that, she threw the dish into the trash can. Ignoring me, stunned, Isla started cooking. Without a word, she cut meat with a knife and then used the same knife to cut fruit. Chills ran down my spine. "What are you looking at? It's creepy. There's nothing for you, so figure something out yourself." Of course, I was secretly relieved. Seeing William enjoy Isla's carelessly prepared meal, I felt anxious about our future. This is how Isla frequently came and went from our house, harassing me, and then leaving doted on by William. Ever since I saw the two of them sleeping in the same bed, I have been finding excuses to refuse Isla's overnight stays. It was too disturbing for me to accept. Perhaps because of that, Isla's visits to our home became more frequent. When I returned from work, Isla was often already in the living room. And often, William was home at times I expected him to be at work. "Hey, aren't you supposed to be at work? Finished early?" If I asked William, he would reply, "Took a day off because Mommy is coming over." Taking time off so frequently for his mother's visits made me wonder what we would do in the future. Internally, I felt dejected. If he loves Mommy so much, maybe he should have just lived with her forever. After Isla left, I asked William, "I want to ask, why did you marry me?" William seemed surprised by my question, but his response came quickly. "Mommy said, 'Why don't you get married once?' That's why I went to that party. You seemed compatible, and your family looked wealthy, so Mommy said, 'Isn't she good enough?'" Knowing he decided on marriage as casually as picking a watermelon with Mommy at the supermarket made me want to sigh. At least I felt affection for William, who was kind, and a gentleman until we got married, and married him because I loved him. But William didn't have a bit of affection for me. William's everything is Isla, and her word is law. For the first time, I seriously considered divorce that I had been avoiding thinking about. Can I really continue with William? Thinking, I let out a real big sigh. One day, when I returned from work, I felt a slight discomfort in the living room. The room seemed unusually tidy. I realized what was causing the unease. This house was originally where I lived with my family. So, I had kept our family's belongings, but now they were gone. The small bookshelf my brother made for me in school, the painting by my mother that we had framed, the souvenirs my father brought from abroad. The ring and pendant my mother gave me are gone. When we got married, my mother, who couldn't come to Japan, sent me a gold ring and pendant as a gift. I had kept them carefully in a case in my bedroom. All the precious items given to me by my family were missing. I frantically searched the entire house. My bedroom, William's bedroom, even the shed William built in the garden. But they were nowhere to be found. As I stood in the living room in a daze, William, who seemed to have been out, came back.
What? Why is your hair all messed up?
Seeing me disheveled from searching desperately, William laughed. Desperate for confirmation, I asked William, The things I received from my family are missing. Do you know anything about it? The answer I received from William was shocking.
Huh? That dirty junk? I got rid of it. It was always in the way. Today was bulk trash day, so I threw it out.
I was stunned by William's words. Despite it being my property, despite them being precious gifts from my family, William said he threw them away. The ring and pendant that were in my room, you threw those out too? When I pressed him, William responded with a displeased look.
I don't know. Maybe I threw it out. That junk.
I could feel anger rising in my head. How could you do whatever you want? Those were my precious things. Why did you throw them away? Startled by the volume of my voice, William momentarily flinched, but quickly glared back and retorted.
Isn't what belongs to you mine as well? Mommy said so, right? So what's wrong with me throwing away my stuff? And why are you still clinging to your trash-like family? You're married to me now, aren't you? Cut it out. It's disgraceful.
I couldn't believe William's words. Isn't it William who's abnormally attached to his family? Is he calling my family trash? William was making unbelievable statements, leaving me unable to think clearly. Trash-like family. That's my family you're talking about, you know? They're your family too, aren't they? Why would you say something so awful? At my counter-argument, William looked perplexed.
Huh? How could your family be my family? My family has always been and will only be Mommy, you know? How long are you going to keep saying such stupid things? Since we're on the subject, my mommy and your family are of completely different values, don't you think? Anyone could see that. All your parents managed to produce was an Emily like you. That's why they're trash parents. But my mommy, she gave birth to me. See the difference? It's probably too hard for you to understand. Yeah, it's impossible. My head, previously boiling with anger, had now completely cooled down. I utterly despised William,
who insulted my family and laughed loudly. And with William's following statement, my heart grew entirely cold. Mommy likes this house, so I've decided to let Mommy live here too. When I said nothing, William spoke with a slightly angry tone. What? Got a problem? It might have been your house originally, but now it's my house too, you know? If you don't like it, we can just get divorced. Saying so, William thrust a divorce application at me. The form was courteously filled out and signed by William. This must have been Mommy's instruction. Did he think this would make me compliant? I couldn't even sigh anymore. Mommy is moving in next month. Clean out your room. To my silence, William emphasized loudly. Hey, are you listening? Mommy is moving in next month. I'll be away on a business trip until then. During that time, clean up all your stuff. Completely. Got it? In my head, I thought, what a loud voice. As if his hard-to-hear self-introduction when we first met was a lie. Facing William's glare, I smiled and said, Okay, I'll make it nice and clean. Then, I went back to my bedroom. Returning to my room, I immediately started packing. Although my anger towards William hadn't subsided, receiving the divorce papers was convenient. I paused my packing to make a phone call. After making a couple of calls, my spirits began to lift. I once thought William was a wonderful person who valued family, but in reality, he was just a severe mama's boy who only loved Mommy. It's good to cherish your mother, but you were too severe. Being dominated by Mommy to this extent, and not having your own opinions as an adult, I can't help but feel sorry for you. I tried to love your Mommy too, but it was impossible. I'm sorry, but I can't and won't fit into the world you and Mommy have. To you, I was never family. I wouldn't care what you said about me alone. But you used terrible words against my precious family too. Unforgivable. As you wished, I'll clean everything out completely, so look forward to it. You should go to hell with your beloved Mommy. That day, my mobile phone's ringtone echoed from the morning. The screen displayed William. It must be William returning from what he calls a business trip. I was expecting a call around this time, but I wish he had spared me the early morning disturbance on my day off. I touched the screen to answer. Before I could speak, William's angry voice came through the speaker. Hey, Emily, what have you done? The house is gone. What's the meaning of this? William sounded quite panicked on the other end. What happened? Didn't you say to clean up all my stuff completely? So, I did just that. My words left William speechless. Yes, I did exactly as told. Cleaned up all my things. After my family went abroad, the house was in my name. My father said I could demolish it or sell it if I wanted, but I had wanted to live in it a bit longer. The day William told me to clean it up, I consulted with my father. After sharing everything, my father suggested selling the house, so I took action. I immediately contacted a real estate agent, sold the house, and it was demolished. Now, it's just a clean, vacant lot. You're insane. Where's the furniture? My stuff. Where'd it go? William asked in a feeble voice. What happened to his earlier bluster? Not just the house, but the furniture and household goods were all mine from before I was married, so I got rid of those too. Oh, your belongings are all in that shed you're so proud of. When selling the land, I left just a small space of about 2 tatami mats in the corner of the garden. That's because it housed what William spent his money on, a shed for William's valuables. Expensive-looking bicycles and a few other items were crammed into that shed. William's stunned reaction was palpable over the phone. Then Isla's voice chimed in. "Emily, what is this? Where's Billy's house gone? I've brought the moving truck with all the stuff. What are we supposed to do now? Say something!" After everything, they've always decided everything selfishly, so they should figure this out themselves. That's what I thought as I listened to Isla's tirade. "You know, Billy is your husband, isn't he? What's with that attitude? I'm the mother of your husband. A wife should just quietly listen to her husband and mother-in-law." Such an unreasonable accusation. What do they think the role of a wife is? I'm glad I acted before my dignity as a person was stripped away. With all due respect, Isla, I am no longer a wife. I informed Isla that William had thrust a divorce application at me, and that I had recorded the conversation when he did, using a voice recorder. Since William's verbal abuse worsened after we got married, I had started carrying a voice recorder. The divorce application he had pushed at me was already signed, so I just added my signature and submitted it to the office. So, you and I are now complete strangers. The phone went silent. Just when I thought it was over, Isla's loud voice erupted again. "Then you should give me money through the distribution of property. The house and the household items were marital property, weren't they? Since it has to be divided between Billy and me, give me the money." I took a deep breath and explained to Isla. "Well, the house and all the household items were used by me since before I was married. William is aware of this, and William has never contributed financially to the house since we got married. So, there's no marital property to speak of. Oh, that shed over there was built with William's own money. Technically, that would be subject to distribution of property, but I don't need it." From the other end of the phone, I could hear Isla's voice in disbelief. "Is that all?" Indeed. That's all there was. In 1 year of marriage, that's all we had managed to accumulate. And it was something only William wanted, not something I needed. The irony of the situation almost made me laugh. What was this marriage period for? She should be grateful that at least that meaningless shed remains. By the way, the land where the house stood has been sold to a real estate agent, so you'd better move quickly before you get into trouble. The shed's location is safe. For now, that small space is still my property, but please remove that shed soon, or I'll have to take legal action." The word legal action got a reaction from Isla. I could hear her grinding her teeth in frustration. "What about William? He hasn't said a word for a while." "Hey, Billy, don't cry. Be strong. It's okay. Just do as Mommy says." Apparently, William was crying. Such a childlike man. His boyishness once seemed charming, but now, he's just a pitiable mama's boy. "Yeah, that's right. Just do as Mommy says. Then with that woman..." Ugh. William's words were cut off mid-sentence. Probably Isla covered his mouth with her hand, because it was inconvenient for me to hear. But it's too late. I've meticulously gathered evidence, so rest assured. "So, where are you now?" "We're coming over, so tell us where." I refused Isla's demand. It took me a bit of effort to find a temporary home for myself. There's no way I would tell them that easily. We're strangers now, So I don't think we'll ever meet again. Oh, and you'll be hearing from my lawyer soon, so please deal with that. In my hand were several photos. They showed William, Isla, and an unknown woman. These were taken during the period William claimed to be on a business trip. A friend who organized the drinking party where William and I met happened to see the three of them on vacation. The photos captured moments of William and the woman entering a room alone and leaving together in the morning.
Why? How did it get out?
A faint voice from William reached me. He still had the energy to speak, which was surprising. The friend said that after we got married, he continued to host parties regularly. Recently, to his surprise, William started attending again and hit it off with a woman, returning home with her. The woman seen on vacation was undoubtedly the same woman.
But Mommy said a man has to have an affair at least once. She said since this woman is prettier, I should have a child with her instead.
I was shocked by William's outrageous statement. Again, Mommy's orders. But adultery is adultery. Whether it's Mommy's orders or not, I won't be lenient. Whatever you say, I look forward to the compensation in the divorce trial. The identity of the woman is known through a friend, so I'll be claiming compensation from her as well. Since you have no fixed address, a formal notice will be sent to your company. Thank you. As I said that, William's crying voice came through the phone. I could even hear Isla's comforting, "There, there," which almost made me nauseous. I wanted to hang up, but there was one more important thing to discuss. And Isla, the police might come to ask you some questions, so please cooperate with them. There was no response from Isla. She probably knew what this was about. Isla, you stole my precious ring and pendant, didn't you? In the photos of this affair trip, I can see you wearing my ring and pendant. I will never forgive you. By the way, I've already reported this to father-in-law. He was furious. He said he's going to divorce you, so you'll get your wish of living a dream, life alone with William. I was about to hang up after saying that. Just before the call disconnected, I thought I heard an indescribable scream from Isla. Looking outside the window, it was about time for the sun to set. I wonder how those two will spend their night. Well, they have that shed, so they'll be able to shelter from the rain and wind for a while. That's the least I could do for them. Honestly, I couldn't care less. I feel like I can sleep well tonight. The first to pay compensation for the divorce lawsuit was the woman William had an affair with. She worked at a nightclub and included an apology saying it was a momentary lapse of judgment. William, on the other hand, had to resign from his job voluntarily after a formal notice of his infidelity reached his employer, making his position there untenable. Father-in-law covered the compensation for the divorce lawsuit in full, but said he would relentlessly reclaim it from William. Isla was faced with divorce papers from father-in-law. Apparently, her overprotectiveness towards William had always been a problem. This incident made father-in-law lose all patience. From now on, Isla won't receive a penny. In fact, she's dealing with the police over suspicion of theft. Isla repeatedly claimed inheritance among relatives, but since cohabitation between me and Isla was not recognized, Isla ended up with a criminal record. Now, William and Isla are renting a small apartment, living modestly while working part-time. The shed has been removed, and where my house once stood, a new home is being built. I hope the people who live there will be a warm family. I prayed quietly in my heart. Rolling my carry-on, I walked through the airport concourse. The thought of seeing my beloved family soon filled my heart with joy. I'm about to fly to the country where my family lives to start a new life. I hurried towards the boarding gate.